Hello everyone, so welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do something different. I just finished watching Varun Mayya's first Kata session where he breaks down how AEOS actually went from zero to massively profitable company without taking even a single dollar of funding. And here's the thing, okay, this is just isn't another startup story. This is a masterclass in contrarian thinking, and I'm going to break down every single actionable insight so you can actually apply this to your business. We are going to go deep. We are talking about specific frameworks. We are actually mistakes he made, and most importantly, what you should do starting Monday morning. So if you're a founder or a solopreneur or you're running an agency, this video is going to be your roadmap. So let's get into this. So here's where most founders get it wrong, and honestly I've made this mistake too. Varun's first major lesson is this: your product doesn't matter if no one sees it. If I know this sounds harsh, you have spent months building something amazing, but here's what he learned the hard way. He built incredible products first that completely failed because he had zero distribution. Think about it, you have the best solution in the world, but it is sitting on a shelf where nobody can find it. You have nothing. An action item for you is that before you build your next feature, ask yourself, how will 10,000 people will find about this? And if you don't have an answer, stop building and start creating your distribution channel first. And I'm not talking about you will post on social media. I'm talking about a real systematic way to get in front of a target audience. For Varun, this meant understanding the video content was consuming 5 hours of people's daily time. This is where the attention was going. So that's where he built. Your homework is to write down 3 channels where your ideal customers are spending their time right now, and not where they wish they were, but where they actually are. Now, here's something that completely shifted my perspective. Varun says the real moat isn't your technology, it's not your features, but it's your access to the talent. And he just didn't say it. I think he built the world's largest video editing school and creates his own talent pipeline. Let that sink in, okay? He saw that video editors were the bottleneck. So instead of competing for talent, he created it. The AEOS talent strategy breakdown is this. First one, identified the constraint, not enough skilled video editors in the market. Second one, he built the solution, created a massive training program. Third, created the flywheel. School feeds the company, and the company funds the school. So that's how the cycle goes on. And the fourth one is scaled impossibly fast. He went from 50 to 400 people because they had the talent ready. So what this means for your business is that you don't need to build a school. You don't need to build a school, and you need to think about this in a very strategic way. Where is your talent constraint? So you need to understand where is your talent constraint. For most of us, it's only 3 things: sales talent, technical talent, and creative talent. Your action plan is to, instead of endlessly recruiting, can you create a training program internally? The second is that partner with a boot camp or an university. Third is to build a junior to senior pathway that's faster than the market. The companies that win are the ones that create talent and not just hire it. Well, I think this is probably the most contrarian thing Varun teaches, and it goes against everything you've heard about focus. His approach is to make multiple bets in parallel and expect most of them to fail. Now, this isn't about being scattered. I think this is about being scientific, because you are running experiments, not betting the company. Here's how you actually do this. Step 1 is to define your bet size. Now, small bets should cost you around 10% of your revenue. They should have a clear success metric. They should be testable in 30 to 60 days. Now, step 2 is to run 3 to 5 simultaneously. One might be a new content format, another might be a new client vertical, and another might be a different pricing format. So step 3 is to kill fast and scale fast. So if it's not working by week 4, kill it. If it's working, double down immediately. That's how it works. Now, real example is that, let's say you run a marketing agency, you can parallelly bet could be. So you can parallelly bet, which would be bet 1, launch a TikTok content service. Bet 2, create a DIY course for your service. And bet 3 is to target a completely new industry vertical. Bet 4 would be experiment with a performance-based pricing. Give each 60 days and $2,000. See what sticks. And the key insight that Varun Mayya shares is that the failure part of the process. So you're not trying to avoid failure, but you're trying to fail fast and cheap. Dude, Varun makes this incredibly clear. AEOS has been profitable from month 1 and for 3 years straight. And here's the kicker. It's because they were bootstrapped, not despite it. When you don't have a safety net, you make fundamentally different decisions. I think the bootstrap mindset is this. One is that no one is coming to save you. This creates incredible clarity. Every decision is real. And two is that low cost become religion. They don't overhire, they don't get fancy offices, they stay lean. Third is that profitability isn't a goal, it's a requirement. You can't afford to operate at a loss because you're growing. Now, how to apply this even if you're funded? Pretend every dollar is your own money, because eventually it's kind of is. Okay, practical disciplines is that revenue scales, and revenue first and the scales will be second. Now can you get $10,000 a month before you hire anyone? Second is to default to know every expense should justify itself with the revenue. And can you automate before you hire? That role you want to fill, can the software do 75% of it? Is something that you need to think about. Now your 30-day challenge would be go through your expenses, cut 20%. I'm serious, okay? Find the 20% that isn't directly contributing to customer value and eliminate it. Bootstrap discipline isn't about being cheap, it's about being intentional with every single resource. Varun talks about deconstructing every conventional idea about building a company. This is first principle thinking, and it's harder than it sounds. The framework is here. Step 1 is to identify the conventional wisdom. Example, you need to raise funds to scale faster. Step 2 is to break down fundamentals. Why do companies raise funding? To hire and spend on customer acquisition? What are we actually buying? Time and reach? What's the core assumption? That you can't generate enough revenue organically. Step 3 is challenge the assumption. Is there a way to grow without the capital? What if we get creative with this model? And step 4 is that test the alternative. AEOS proved you could scale to 400 people profitably without funding. Real business application is this. Let's take a common belief. I need to be on every social media platform. This can be a common belief. But first principle breakdown is this. Assumption. What is the assumption? Most platforms is equal to more platforms is equal to more reach. And a fundamental truth is that you need attention for your ideal customer. Alternative is what if being exceptional in one platform can work better? Your exercise is to write down 3 things that you believe about your industry or business model, then ask why 5 times for each one. You'll be surprised what falls apart. Now, what I love about Varun Mayya's story is that AEOS isn't just one business. It's 4 businesses that evolved from each other. Let me break down what you can learn from each phase. Act 1, opportunity identification, video editing school. Pattern is spotted where attention was going. 5 hours a day on video, identified the bottleneck, shortage of editors, built infrastructure before building product. That's a talent school. Your takeaway, don't just find a market need, find a constraint in that market. Act 2 is YouTube as a service. The pattern leveraged existing editors, that's trained editors asset, and sold to companies who had the problem. Zoho, Cleartip, Vodafone, scaled what was already working. Your takeaway is that your next business might already exist inside your current one, right? Who knows? What capability do you have that others would pay for? Is something that you need to ask yourself. Act 3 is technology integration, AI avatars. Now, the pattern is that combined technical capability with content expertise, experimented in labs, low-risk testing ground, and scaled what worked to hundreds of millions of views. Your takeaway should be how you can add technology to your existing model. Even service business can leverage AI, automation, or software. Act 4, the gaming thesis. Pattern 1 is to look for the next emerging wave. Applied same principles, team building, infrastructure first, and your takeaway should be always be planning or planting seeds for the next phase while harvesting the current one. the meta pattern that I observed across all the acts is each phase was built on the previous one. The video editing school fed YAAS. YAAS created the infrastructure for AI experiments. The whole ecosystem positioned them for gaming. Your action step is what's your act 2. What capability from your current business could become its own offering. Now let's talk about AI avatar strategy, because this is where it gets really interesting. When Varun started using AI generated presenters, people were skeptical. Like comments were, "This is fake, people won't watch this," were common. But here's what he understood that others didn't. The 3-part formula, I call it. First one is AI avatars, the controversial part. Second, human written scripts, the value part. Third one, expert video editing, the quality part. Results, hundreds of millions of views monthly. YouTube recognized them as the world's largest AI avatar content creator. The lesson for you is to don't dismiss new technology because it makes people uncomfortable. The question isn't people will like this. The question is, does this deliver value? Now, framework for adopting the new tech would be to ask yourself, 1. Does the technology solve a real constraint for Varun scaling content creation? Second, can you add human value on top, scripts and editing? Third, are you early enough to build an advantage? Your AI integration checklist would be to understand what takes you 10 hours that AI could do in 1 hour, where you could add AI to increase output quality and not just speed, and what your competitors think is too risky that might actually work. The companies winning right now aren't the one debating whether to use AI or not. They are the ones who started experimenting 6 months ago. Alright, let's bring all this together. If you want to apply Varun Mayya's framework to your business, here's the step-by-step plan. Month 1 is the foundation. Week 1 to 2, you do the distribution audit, map where your customers spend time, identify your 3 distribution channels, create content calendar for consistent presence. Week 3 to 4, what you'll be doing is the talent assessment. What's your biggest talent constraint? Can you train instead of hiring? Start documenting your process. Now, month 2 is the experimentation phase, where week 5 to 6, design 3 small bets. Each bet should be under $2,000 and 20 hours. Clear success metric different enough to learn from each one. And week 7 to 8, you launch and monitor. Start all experiments simultaneously, track metrics daily, be ready to kill what's not working. So month 3 is the double down month, where week 9 to 10, analyze the results. What worked, why, what failed, what did you learn, which bet deserves 10x resources. Week 11 to 12 is to scale the winner. Pour resources into what's working, document the process, start thinking about the act 2 that I told you earlier. The metric that matters is that don't track vanity metrics, track customer acquisition cost, 1, and 2, time to profitability per customer. Third is the talent training to productivity time. Fourth is the revenue per employee. These are the metrics of a sustainable and scalable business. So here's what I want you to take away from Varun Mayya's framework. Building without funding isn't just a limitation, it's an advantage. It forces you to 1. Focus on distribution over product. 2. Build real competitive advantage through talent. 3. Stay profitable and sustainable. 4. Think in first principle. 5. Make parallel bets instead of one big gamble, right? So, but more than anything, I think it forces you to be honest about what's working, honest about what isn't, and honest about whether you are building something people actually want. So your next step would be to pick one thing from this video, just one, and implement it this week. Maybe it's mapping your distribution channels, identifying your talent constraint, designing one small bet to test, and cutting 20% of your expenses, or starting your first AI experiment. Just pick one and do it.
I have one last thing to say, and this is for the people online. We are known to do slightly different and sort of crazier things. I want you to talk, if you want to, with your public name on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, about the 16 katas. I want to see all your comments, okay? And we are going to take, and both negative and positive, say whatever you want to. But I'm going to do something really cool with those comments. It's not going to be all the comments, it's going to be some of the comments, and I'm obviously going to favor some of the positive ones over the negative ones. But we're going to do something really cool.